morning and thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of TVC Breakfast. I am Veronica Dan Ikboy. It's a full house this morning as I have Super Sam Omashe as well as Mike Okwache. Gentlemen, good morning.
Great morning.
It's good to be here again. Another day it is. Some developing stories, interesting reactions to the stories. I think sometime last week, the National Association of Resident Doctors gave the government 2-week ultimatum to address its demands, or else they will embark on a strike. And then the Minister for Labour and Employment, Ngige, came out and he was reacting that the federal government has given these people everything they asked for and that they are beginning to have a sense of entitlement, according to him, and the doctors are kicking, talking about what does he mean, Sam?
Well, doctor strike have become very common in Nigeria. Even in the UK, we're having the nurses strike. They're very essential people in the life of modern society. So we need our doctors to always work and privilege service over material concerns. That is significant. There's this novel by this Spanish writer, The Patience of Dr. Garcia, who's devoted his life to his patients living in the time of the Spanish Civil War, during the time of Franco and all of that. Well, that said, the doctors have children, they have families, they have to take care of themselves. They also need dignity. So they need to get some of the things that they're asking for, and which they had signed agreement with the federal government. Right. They should give them. They ask for a number of things in the residency, their consolidated pay of 200%, and so on. Well, somebody said some of these workers live in denial. In other words, that's the governor of Anambra State. Things are not. You say, government, bring the money. I say, government has the money somewhere. They just give it to you. And they take. I've been hiding it. Oh, good and faithful servant. The money is not just there. And what we need is an understanding by both sides.
Yes.
And the doctor strike coming at this time seems a little bit political. You know that this government is going, another one is coming, and it's just a matter of weeks, not even months, that it happens. Why don't you exercise a little patience, because this government cannot do anything anymore. They are already lame duck. I mean, how do you expect a dog to run across the street, even if the car is speeding? The dog will never run across the street. You will run over it. So please don't drive the car in speed. Let the dog cross the street.
But Chris Ngige's reaction to this person, saying they're asking for too much and they are beginning to have a sense of entitlement, one would expect that he understands, being someone who has played in that field and understand how things run, he should understand how to react to these people.
Yeah, Chris Ngige is a medical doctor by profession, but right now he's a politician. So the politician and the professional will never be on the same page on anything. It is the same thing when an engineer becomes the president of whatever. There's always a dichotomy. When a medical doctor becomes there's always a dichotomy. So it is expected, because Chris Ngige, in his capacity as minister, will certainly work in the interest of the government, having an understanding. We can't take it away from him in the knowledge of the fact that all the difficulties that government is trying to handle, because NMA or the medical doctor issue is not the only challenge that the government has to handle.
Absolutely.
There are other issues. The academia is there. There are foreign affairs. In fact, the students in Sudan, all of those issues are there. There are even everyday general issues. So the minister attending Federal Executive Council meeting every day, having conversations with the president, having conversations with the government, understands the challenge.
Yeah.
Some of them that he's not at liberty to share with the Medical Doctors Association. However, like Sam said, there can be a way of understanding. There are some minimum level of communication that we can have, that doctors will have an assurance, especially when agreements have been signed. When agreements have been signed, government abiding by those agreements. The moment you do that, and sometimes compare, even without the NMA or the medical doctors seeking one or two things, if you know that, okay, there are standards like this in Turkey, there are standards like this in South Africa, there are standards like this in Brazil, for instance, or Malaysia, or Indonesia, and you feel that this thing is good for our country, you can bring it even ahead without the NMA requesting for all of those things. So it's a challenge, but it's more of the communication issue. When there is a rhetoric or statements being made here and there where I don't like your statement, you don't like my statement, it escalates the issues further, even beyond what the normal issues are.
Right.
So we don't expect the minister to say that at this time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, we see what happens in the coming days.
It's one thing for you to have a dog, but when it's lame, it's even worse, because even the dog cannot run. Then a lame dog, I'm
It's
sorry.
the worst case scenario.
It's all right. It's okay. We need